Good evening, everyone. How's everybody doing?
Doing good, thank you.
We're good,
Good
Doc.
evening.
Good
I'm fine. How
evening.
about you?
Doing well, Dr. Adu.
Doing good.
Good evening.
Good
Good
evening.
evening, Dr. Edu. Freddie saying hi from San
Hey, how
Antonio,
are you doing,
Texas.
Freddie?
I'm doing
Good.
okay.
Great. All right. So tonight we are doing something that we've done something similar, but not exactly this one. We have an interview from one of our students, and it was recorded. So we are going to play the interview and go through and hear the whole entire interview. And for anyone who's not been to a cybersecurity interview, this is a very good learning experience. And then also we are going to pick we had almost like five judges, but some couldn't make it. So we will pick some on the spot. I've seen some faces that I'm going to pick for judges. So now what we're going to do is once we play the session, so it's going to be the question and then the answer, and our judges will score, and they will give us the reason for their score. So the score is going to be 1 to 5. That way, at least we keep it a little bit simple. So with that out of the way, we are about to start now tonight because we are going to go through a little bit of content. We wouldn't go through cyber news, right? So we will skip that for now. But if anybody has any newsworthy item for the week, they can bring it up and let us know. And you can put in the chat where you're joining us from, and then also hashtag team live, and you'll be able to use that to renew your certification when it comes up for renewal. So with that, we are going to jump in, and you're all very much welcome. This is Eretmis Cyber Chat. We do this every Friday night, and like I always say, it's Friday night. You could have been anywhere else, but you chose to be here to share in the knowledge and then also to grow as a security professional. So we are beginning off. So tonight we are looking at real GRC interview and some real feedback and results. And there is stay to the end. There is a big bonus at the end of this. Now we're also going to dig a little bit more past the interview itself. The whole story behind the interview also we are also going to talk about that as we move along. So this is brought to you by Eretmis Academy. We are a cybersecurity institute based out of New York. And myself, I have a couple of co-pilots that are going to help me tonight. I'm Dr. Emmanuel Adu, a former United States Army captain, a member of the Forbes Technology Council, the founder of Eretmis Academy, and the CEO of Eretmis Inc. We are a PCI QSA company and a cybersecurity consulting firm, also based out of New York. We do all sort of contracts on the corporate side, on the government side. And I'm also a former professor at University of Maryland Global Campus and CTC. Eretmis, we are partners with CompTIA, and what that means is that we have a 20% discount on all CompTIA vouchers, exam vouchers. So if you are looking to sit for any CompTIA certification, you can reach out and we will extend that 20% discount to you. And then for folks who are looking to renew their certifications, if you have any CompTIA certification, ISACA, name it, ISC Square, every 3 years you have to renew, and there are two ways to renew. You can sit for the exam again, or you can use continuing education points, and this will help you to renew. So if you are attending this session, each 45 minutes counts as one CPE or CEU, depending on which organization we are looking at. But they all simply put continuing education points that you can use to renew your certification, right? So all you need to do is put hashtag team live in the chat, and you can take a screenshot of that, and that is going to count. And then also we have a WhatsApp group for Eretmis Cyber Chat. So the link is going to be posted. We are transmitting our sessions live on YouTube. Tonight's session is also being transmitted on YouTube as well. We're streaming on YouTube, so we encourage you to join our YouTube channel, subscribe to it, and then also share to any friends, families who are interested in becoming cybersecurity professionals. And we are going to jump into the interview because there is no cyber news tonight. Now, before we jump into our interview, I'll pick the judges. We have at least two who were able to make it. So we'll pick two more or three more from the audience, and then we'll jump in. Now, our Labor Day sale ends on the 14th. So if you're still on the fence waiting to jump into any of our programs, this is a good time to take advantage of the 20% discount. And then for folks looking to begin a career in the cybersecurity space, we encourage you to look into our cybersecurity entry-level course, a very comprehensive course that takes you from zero. So no IT background, no cybersecurity background. We are going to pick you from there and build you up to become a full-blown cybersecurity professionals. And most of our judges who are going to be on here, they went through this course and they are currently working as cybersecurity professionals, right? And our internship and workshop, this is where you get to work on real-world cybersecurity projects. And we have our judges who are going to help us to go through this. They also went through the same program, right? So this is where you actually work. You are moving from theory into doing, right? You can learn cybersecurity, the theoretical part of it, all you want. If you've never done something or you never worked on a project, you're going to struggle on the job and even during interviews, right? So our entry level, our GRC internship and workshop is the second portion of our entry level course. Now you can just jump into this without the entry level course. If you have some prior training, you've gone through some cybersecurity training, some bootcamp elsewhere. Now this is where you come to get the real world hands-on, where you work on different security projects like conducting an audit, conducting risk assessment, incident response, awareness training, governance, working on policies and procedures, and the list goes on. And then for folks who've already gone through, you're currently in a cybersecurity role or you're still building yourself up, it's always good to know how to move in the cloud and also to secure your assets in the cloud, because now everybody, in terms of all organizations, are doing at least something in the cloud, right? So if not all their whole entire activities, some of it, some part of it. And we encourage you to also look into our cloud security program as well. This also comes with hands-on portion, which is the internship. And with this, we also, it's vendor neutral. So you get to work with AWS, Azure, and Google Cloud, right? And then also AI governance, everything that we are doing now has some AI twist to it. How do we make sure that AI is not being misused on the job? AI is not being biased. How do we mitigate the risks of using AI? All of that is taken care of in this course, is the AI Governance Specialist Program. Now, this program will help you as a cybersecurity professional to strategize for how your company is using AI, and then also to make sure you are staying in compliance with all AI regulations that are coming up, right? And then our last, but not the least, our PCI DSS training. Now, this is a niche within the cybersecurity space, looking at it right under the compliance space. And this is arguably one of the most lucrative niches in the cybersecurity space, right? If you are looking to specialize in the most lucrative niche within the cybersecurity space, the PCI DSS is the course to look at, right? And then we are going to post our chat, the link to our WhatsApp, and then you can also subscribe to our YouTube channel. Now, with that out of the way, we are going to select our judges. So for our judges, I think I saw Shungo come in. We selected Shungo. And since, okay, I can see Peter on here. So Peter, you've been added to the judges. Angela, I think I saw Angela as well. Angela is also going to be added to the judges. And I think let me give me a second. Okay. So Angela, Peter, Shungo, and lastly, let me pick our last judge going through the list. I think I saw Sheila coming. I'm not sure if Sheila is still on or she dropped off. So our
I'm
judges,
here.
okay, good. So Sheila, you've been added to the judges as well. So Sheila, Angela, Shongo, Peter, you are going to be our judges. Now for judges, you are scoring this interview 1 out of 5, no, 0 to 5, right? So you keep your score, and for each question, when the answer is given, you are going to give your score, and you are going to tell us why you are giving that score, right? And all the people that I just picked, I mean, there's a whole list, right? But they are the people who just stood out, right? So if, and they are all currently working in the security space. So they've gone through the interview process and they made it all the way to, landing the role. So at least they know a thing or two about interviews and how to prep yourself for it. And so that is why we are bringing them on here to help us with this. Now we are going to go through, let me go ahead and share the interview, right? So, and then also we open the floor for everybody to give their take as well, right? So we are starting off. So judges, kindly let me know when you are all ready. You can unmute yourself and, okay, so I think I'll have judges introduce themselves. That way we will know them. So when they start giving the answers, we know where they are coming from. So we will start with Peter. If you don't mind, you can go ahead and introduce yourself and what you do now. And then we'll go to Shongo and we'll go to Angela, and then we go to Sheila. Oh, you can go ahead and unmute yourself, Peter. I know I just put Peter on the spot. Or if Peter is not ready, Angela, you can go ahead and introduce yourself, and then we'll go with Sheila, and then Songo, and then Peter.
Hi, everyone. This is Angela. Hold on, I have 2 devices. Okay, is it better or am I echoing still?
No, you're good.
Okay, yeah, Angela Treme. I'm a security compliance architect and I work for a contractor that works for a federal agency. I've been working in the field for about a year now. Thank you.
Thank you, Angela. I think Peter unmuted himself. So you can go ahead, Peter.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, cool. The button wasn't working. Yeah, I've been, well, my title is Senior Security Analyst. I've been doing PCI for the past 2 years now, a little more than 2 years with the same company. It's called Apex, where we do the healthcare industry, actual elements. So we're doing they have a lot of subsidiaries. So we got to do like a SAC-D or a SAC-A for these other subsidiaries. So we just keep doing that over and over and over again.
All right, Peter. Thank you. Sheila, please go ahead.
Hi, everyone. I'm Sheila Odoro. I have been in the cybersecurity space for about 4 years, heading to 5 years now. I can't even believe it. But I work for the Commonwealth of Massachusetts as a regional cybersecurity analyst. Thank you.
Thank you, Sheila. And we will go with Shongo. Please go ahead, Shongo.
Yes, good evening, everyone. I am Shango Walker. I've been in cybersecurity ever since for a very long time now, 2020. I am a collaborator and literary advisor for PCI Assistant, and I'm happy that you chose me, Dr. Adu. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you. All right, so there you have our judges. Now we are going to jump straight into our interview. All right, so let's take it. Kindly hold on. Let me reshare. That way I share with sound.
Can you tell me about your current situation and why you are exploring new job opportunities?
Can everybody hear the sound? Well,
Yes, I can hear you good.
Yes, we can hear.
Okay, thank you. So I'm just going to go ahead.
I'm currently working as.
Can you tell me about your current situation and why you are exploring new job opportunities?
I am currently working as an information security analyst, and that's my current job. But previously, I was working as an information risk and compliance specialist, and I've had experience in governance, risk, and compliance, managing risk assessments, risk mitigation, developing policies over the years that I've been working. And I'm just looking for new opportunities and new challenges.
I see. And it's
All right, so that will be the first. This might look like, but this is not really a question. That really, indeed, is a question. So let's go with our judges. How are you going to score the response to this question? The question was, can you tell us what you are doing now? Right. Might look like it's not a question that is really probing that enough, but I'm going to tell you why this is a very important question. And this is the very first question that was asked. So, Peter, based on the answer that was given, what will be your score for this one? 0 to 5.
Say a 4
Okay. And why 4?
because she didn't kind of answer the question straight out. She kind of go, I did this, I did this, I did this, and I did this, and then she came back to the question.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, Peter.
Okay.
Angela, how are you going to score this?
I think I'll do a 3, because I feel like there should be some breaking of ice, especially it being the first question. She just shot straight at the answer. At least, try and break the ice. Thank you for this privilege, opportunity. I'm really excited to be here, and then keep going. So maybe 3.5, 3.5, something like that. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Mhm.
Sheila, how are you going to score this one?
I'll give her 3. Similar answers to what the lady that spoke. Just break the ice a little bit. But she did answer what she does. That part was good. But the part where I had a little problem with is why she wants to move on to come to this other position. If you say you are ready for a new challenge, if I am the one hiring you, I'm going to be worried because I feel like, okay, I hire you. I'm hoping that you will stay for a little longer or you will stay for as long as I need you. Whenever you decide you're ready for a new challenge, you're just going to pick up your bag and go. So I wouldn't give you the job.
Okay. So 3 from Sheila. Okay. Shongo, please, how are you going to score this?
The young lady at 3 as well. The question is subjective if you ask me. But going piggyback on what Sheila just said, I would definitely want her to do her research on the company that she's looking to work for. If she's looking to work for me, I will at least want her to do some research on us and how she would fit in the organization. And that's why she's looking for a new opportunity.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. And I think we thank you all for your response, and I'll give my take on that question here shortly. But I want us to first look at the job description, right? So at least we have a good context of we are looking at this interview in context of the job description, right? So a quick run through this job was a GRC analyst role, right? This is the interview was for a GRC analyst role. Now the summary here says they are looking for a GRC analyst to play a key role in strengthening organizational governance and compliance practices. This position offers the opportunity to directly impact risk management, regulatory readiness, and audit success whilst working with cross-functional teams. If you have a sharp eye for details or for detail, strong problem solving skills, and a drive to build effective frameworks, this role will allow you to do so, right, in a meaningful way. Now, when we go to the responsibilities, one says you are going to support the design, implementation, and monitoring of governance frameworks, compliance programs, and policies. You are going to identify, assess, and mitigate organizational risks, maintaining risks register and reports. You are going to lead and coordinate internal and external audit response or responses, including SOC 2 readiness activities. You are going to conduct user access review, ensuring strong access controls and remediation of identified issues, prepare reports, documentation, and recommendations to support compliance and risk management initiatives. Right. So this is what they were looking for in terms of this role. Right. Now, for qualifications, I mean, if you have this interview already, then it means you have something here that they are looking for. Now, what I want us to look at, disregarding the bachelor's, the 2 years of experience, this is what you should really focus on, because these ones is nice to have, but strong communication of GRC framework, a strong understanding of GRC frameworks, principles, and best practices, proficiency with GRC software tools and risk assessment methodologies, excellent communication, analytical and organizational skills, relevant certifications, such as right now certifications, they are also nice to have, right? Because the person who did this interview, they don't have all these certifications, but they still got an interview, right? So now that way we can look at this in context. So with that out of the way, we go back to our second question. Oh, and as we are jumping into our second question, for my take on this question, I think also my overall score will be around 3, the same, simply because when you're answering these questions, what are you doing now? It should be in context, right? And the context is it should align with what they are looking for. Because if you can be doing a lot of things, but you should any question that you're answering during an interview should be in light of what they are looking for, right? So what are they looking for that you've done? Simply that is what they are trying to get at. And then also your answer should be, straight to the point. Now, I also will go with, I think Sheila Shungo and everybody else, at least, thank you for the question, and at least break the ice a little bit before you jump straight into it. But you shouldn't take too much time also, exchanging pleasantries. So you go straight into the point, into the question, and then you make sure your answers are straight, concise, and to the point. So she did do some of that, but I think she can get better at answering those questions, and it should be really in relation to what they are looking for, right? So I think she mentioned some items, risk assessment, and other stuff that were directly in line with what they were looking for. So that is why I'll give it a 3. Right. So let's look at the next question.
Sounds like you bring a lot of relevant experience to the GRC space. So thanks for sharing that. Are you able to work on site in Irvine, California, or would you require remote work accommodations?
I'm flexible. I could do a hybrid, but my preference would be remote. But if I have to be on site too, it's something that I will strongly consider.
Got it. Flexibility is always helpful. Thanks for letting me know. Do you hold any relevant certifications such as CISA, CRISC, or CGITE?
I am currently studying CISA, so it's in progress right now.
Got it. That's great to hear you're working toward it.
All right. So now I think we have 2 questions. Are you looking to work on site or remotely? And then also for the certifications, What will be your take on this, Peter? What will be your score?
I think she did good. More like 3 or 4 because she couldn't answer, but I think she should have just said that she would have been flexible and not do too much explaining about that. The other answers were kind of concise, so.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, Peter. So Peter will give a 3 to 4. Okay, Angela, please go ahead.
Yeah, I think I'll do a 4. I feel like her answers were okay. We just considering that, there's a little stress when you're interviewing. So I like how she said the CISA is in progress. She didn't just say a flat out no. I think that's really smart, and the flexibility. So I'll give her 4.
Okay. Okay. Sheila, please go ahead.
I'll give her 5 for both. Personally, I think she did well. She did indicate what she would prefer, but then she also let them know that she's flexible, which is what they're looking for. They want somebody that is flexible. So she indicated that, and then yeah, so I will give her 5.
Okay. Thank you. Shango, please go ahead.
Yes, I would give her a 4 for her flexibility. The job listing does tell you what they're looking for, but as long as you say that you're flexible, that's good. And as far as certification, I think she did a good job. As long as she's indicating that she's working towards it, that's always a good sign.
Okay. Thank you. So for my side, I also give her a 4. She went straight, she answered the questions without going around in circles. Now, with the flexibility, whether you want to work on site or remotely, you could have just keep it simple and say you are open to both, right? So you can do remote, you can do on site. That makes it simple. Now, with the certifications, I mean, you can always say you're working on 1 or 2, or so. For if it was, I'll say you are working on 2, right? Because one certification will lead into the other. So let's say if you're working on Security Plus, on the far end, you can be working on CISA also as well, because the technical aspect of Security Plus will help you with CISA, right? So I'll give it a 4, right? So that was a good one from that question. Now let's move on to the next question.
Now, can you describe your experience with developing and implementing governance frameworks and policies?
So there's a situation where I had to review in one of my projects that I handled. I had to review the policies of a company, an organization, because we wanted to do assess their cybersecurity posture. And so, yes, I had in that situation, the first thing that I did was to do a risk assessment of the company. I wanted, together with the team, we determined the external risks relating to the industries that they are working in, their geographical location, and we also looked at the internal vulnerabilities that existed within the system. And then I did a gap analysis comparing the policies that they had in place as against the policies that they should have. And in the process, I realized that there were quite a number of them, like they had 60% of the policies in place. So based on the results of the gap analysis, the team I was working with, we prioritized the policies based on what needed to be done urgently based on the apparent threats that they had within the system. And then we prioritized it and then developed the policies for the organization. So developing a policy was one thing. The other thing was reviewing the existing policies to make sure that they were still relevant to the operations at the time. So, and that's what we did. We looked at the policies, looked at the scope of the policy, looked at the owner, made sure that management had a buy-in and it was a top-down policy and management was seriously invested in having the policies applied in the company. And then we looked at the purpose of the policy to address a risk or a control or a threat within the environment, how to mitigate that, and then went ahead and made sure that we defined at a high level all the critical things that needed to be done to make that to implement that policy and mitigate the risk. Then they also looked at the compliance. So this is what you do for compliance, and this is what you do when you don't comply. Like if, for example, we looked at managing devices. You're not supposed to, the policy that didn't allow staff to use their mobile devices. So you're making sure that you have compliance, and what are the repercussions to the staff if they do not comply with that policy. And then the policy had an owner. It made sure that it was signed by management, senior management, and then review the revision history to make sure it was current. And then shared this policy. This is an example of one of the policies that I worked on, and shared it within SharePoint so that everybody that needed to know about that policy was informed. And then it was one of the items that we recommended as well for security awareness training, so we could go through these policies to make sure that everybody was aware of that. And then in the end, we moved from like 70% compliance to almost about 90% compliance, where the policies were in place, properly communicated within the staff, and then assured that risk will be remediated if followed. So that's it. Mm-hmm.
Wow, that's a
So going back to our judges, Peter, how would you rate this? How would you score this answer?
What's the rating score? 1 through 5?
Yes.
I will have to do a 1.
Okay, and why?
She's going around in circles. She keeps saying the same thing here, the same thing over there. She's not specific. She's not clear. She just used to pick one example and go in depth in just that one example, one policy. She's going from here, and then she goes over there, and then she comes back over here. It's a mess. I mean, I got confused. I even forgot what the question was.
Okay. Okay. What about you, Angela?
Man, Peter, 1. Come on now. I would do a 3, maybe, but
Why?
yeah, like he said, can you hear me? Am I on mute?
Yes.
Okay. It was a bit difficult to follow what she was saying, or she kept losing me, and I think it's because her answer wasn't formatted right. That's why we are always encouraged to use the STAR approach, So you kind of warm them into it, let them come with you into what you are talking about, but it's all over the place. She has some good points talking about gap analysis and stuff like that, but the fragments, they are disconnected, so you can't really flow with her. So I think she had a few good things in there, but it was just not well structured. I saw her give a score, trying to give trying to like, how do I say it? Put a value on whatever she did. Say we got this percent compliance, which was good, but again, it's all over the place. And then one last thing I'll say is that there's a need for a little more energy or like confidence when she's talking, when you are asked the question. Some like, sure, I'll be glad to walk you, through a project or two. The project was about da 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 da. Here's the task at hand, and kind of let it flow like that. But I think it's a bit all over the place. I'll do a 3. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Sheila, please go ahead. You are muted, Sheila, if you're trying to speak. Yes, kindly go ahead.
Okay, yeah, I think I'm on the fence, 2 or 3. The lady elaborated it very well. That's exactly what I was going to say. She lost me at some point. She has a lot of information that it seems like she knows what she's talking about, but structure, well, she will lose you. And if the person interviewing you knows exactly what they are asking for, you have lost them, and you're not going to get it, because she had a lot of great information, but there wasn't any structure. You have to start from somewhere and get them interested. What point exactly are you trying to make? Did you write a policy? I think that was the main thing that they wanted to identify. At first, I was like, okay, you've lost it, because it sounds like you haven't really written a policy. And then getting to the end or middle of it, she said, yes, we actually developed a policy. This is where you should have started from. You waited for so long before bringing that up. And that will not get your listeners very interested. So I was going to be giving her like 1, but then I'm like between 2 and 3. She could do better, I think.
Okay. Thank you, Sheila. Shongo, please go ahead.
Yes, sir. I think when you do interviews, that the answer is in the question, and the question is real simple. How do you implement GRC framework policies? So she was all over the place. She did at least mention what she did and the steps in which she did it. She mentioned metrics. So I'm going to give her a 2. She was all over the place and she was trying to home it in, but the answer is always in the question.
Okay. And thank you, Shango, for bringing that
Can
up.
I add one thing
Yes.
too?
Yes, go
When
ahead,
she
Sheila.
said she started with a team, if I was her, I would say I led the team. So the person knows that you actually do have firsthand experience doing it. If you say you were in the team, sometimes it's like, okay, did you actually get to do something? How much did you actually get to do? That's if I am the one interviewing you, that would be the question going through my mind. But if you say you led the team, then it's like you actually have hands-on and you know what you're talking about.
Okay. Yes, thank you, Sheila. And piggybacking on what everybody else said, yes, the question was the answer was a bit too lengthy, and you have to make sure your your answer is well structured. Now, when you're answering interview questions, or if you are going into an interview, you are going to tell a story, right? So you don't want a story where you start off like, well, one time I went out with Peter, and as people are getting more interested in, okay, and what happened? Well, and then our car stopped by the roadside, and then I just woke up from a dream, and this, and I was cooking, and everybody is trying to follow you, like, oh, like, what are you talking about? So what happened with you and Peter? Was that in the dream, or because I just kept you, like, I just hanged you there and started a different story, and hanged you there and started a different story, right? You don't want to do that during your interview. So you are going there to tell a story. Make sure your story is, well structured. And Angela said, that is why we stick with the STAR method. So situation, task, action, results. Now, at the end of the answer, you could see our sister here was trying to show the results of what she was talking about, right? But she kind of missed the situation, the tax, and some aspects of it. And she was trying to, add the numbers, which was good. The result was, we moved from a 72% compliance to 85% compliance or something on those lines. They were good, but you would have lost everybody listening to your story, because now they don't know where your story started and where you are ending it. Right in between is like they woke up whilst you were telling the story, and they went back to sleep, and they woke up again, so they are missing some bits and pieces here and there. Right. So the question actually was what is your experience implementing GRC frameworks and policies? So like Shungo said, the answer is in the question. So you stick with make sure you clearly understand the question. If you need time, you want to buy time to think about it well, you can ask them to repeat the question. Can you break your question down further? Then as they are doing that, you're thinking about your answer, right? And one thing that you don't want to do is you don't want to jump into answering the question and then coming back and say, oh, I didn't really understand the question. Can you explain or break it down even further, right? So our answer should be short, concise, straight to the point. And you can only do that if you are following a structure, which is the STAR method, right? What was the situation? So have you implemented, what is your experience implementing GRC frameworks and policies? So what was the situation that called for the implementation of GRC frameworks and policies, right? What was the tax state, the tax that was supposed to be done in that situation? What was the action that you took as an individual or as a team? And what was the result? Simple, right? So, but if you don't come with a structure, then you're gonna be all over the place. And she knew what she was saying, but it's just structure, right? And if you don't have structure, you tend to do some, loops. So you're running around in circles because you don't know, you want to say so much to correct what you think you didn't say or to make up for what you think. So you don't know when to end your answers because you think you've not said enough. But if you have a structure, and once the structure is complete, like if you know your situation is this, your tax is this, your action is this, your result is this, does it, you just end it there. Right. But without that, you keep running into, because she mentioned risk assessment, gap analysis, prioritizing policies, developing policies, reviewing existing policies, looking at compliance, and then she talked about the results. Right. So this is all learning process for all of us. Right. So thank you for your inputs, judges. We are moving on to the next question.
Comprehensive example, and it really shows your depth of experience in policy development and implementation. I like how you emphasized using gap analysis and ensuring top-down management support for success. So moving on, could you describe how you've conducted risk assessments and maintained risk registers in your previous roles?
Okay, so this was another situation that we needed to do risk assessment. I've had a lot of situations using risk assessment, but this was another situation, one of the projects that I did to make sure that that we evaluated the risks within the organization. So give me one moment, please. Can you hear me?
Of course. Could you describe how you've conducted risk assessments and maintained risk registers in your previous roles?
Okay, thank you. I'm back. So there was a situation where I had to do a risk assessment, and this was a comprehensive risk assessment on all assets within the management, within the organization, because management wanted to have a great idea about the risk and the threats within the environment. So the first thing we did was with the team, was to assess the inherent threat risks that were within the system. So taking a look at the system and how it was at that point, if no controls were implemented, we did an assessment to evaluate how the impact of any threat, cyber threat, would affect the assets of the company. We are looking at the devices, the systems, the personnel, all the assets of the company. So this was a big risk assessment. And I used the Center for Internet Security Risk Assessment Methodology, which is CIS-RAM, which kind of prioritizes and assess the companies on 3 implementation groups. So this particular company organization was in the implementation group 2, IG2. So we used a risk assessment methodology which complied a risk analysis and a risk treatment with recommendations. So after assessing the impacts of the inherent risk, like with the risk that was inherent in the system without the controls that needed to be applied, I identified that a lot of controls needed to be implemented. We also used I also used the security maturity model matrix, which evaluated the controls on a scale of 1 to 5, 1 being that the controls were not available, were not implemented at all, and 5 being that they were implemented and if repeatable and effectively running. So then we also did impact criteria, that the effects that the threats would have on the business financial objectives, on the mission, and on the stakeholders. And that was also prioritized on a scale of 1 to 3. That was the current situation. So based on that, we put the maturity, and then we set out questionnaires to the business process owners, that all the departments that had these assets and managed these assets and devices, including the IT department, and did a hardbook questionnaire. For example, data protection, we asked, the questionnaire, for example, would ask, so do you have a data protection policy? Is it in place? Do you have controls to protect data, to classify data? How about access controls to the data? Is it restricted? What type of restriction is it? Is it least privilege? And do you have multi-factor authentication? So when all these questionnaires came in, we ranked it based on the safeguard maturity score. So it was either extreme a 1 or a 5. And after that, all these scores were inputted in the Center for Internet Security Risk Assessment Methodology spreadsheet, which is a tool that I use a lot for risk assessment and management. And so then this generated a risk level, so you can tell whether it's the risk is acceptable or not. And then after that, we made a decision whether to accept the risk or to mitigate the risk. And if the risk for the safeguards that kind of needed risk mitigation, I went ahead and recommended mediation, risk treatment options, risk treatment results for the company, for the business process owners to implement. And then based on that, what I like about this is that it documents the CIS RAM, which is the risk assessment methodology, documents all these processes within the risk register. So you have a clear picture about the risk that is there, the risk score, whether it was accepted, whether it's acceptable or not, the recommended treatment. And after that, based on the recommendations, you generate another risk level, which if the recommendations are implemented, you can decide, you can see how it will impact the control, mitigate the risk within the system. And after that, identify the risk owner, because this report was going to be shared with the business owners and the control owners, so they can go ahead and implement with IT as well to go ahead and implement the recommendations. So finally, a program of action and mitigation management was developed. So with the risk owner who was responsible, the time limit that it would take, and then the budget that the financial implications of implementing these controls or improving on these controls to lower the risk to an acceptable level. And then, so this was the action that I took. And at the end of the day, with that report, it showed that if all the risk treatment options and suggestions were implemented, it will move their risk rating from being like just having 50% of controls effective to almost having about 95% controls effective. And that is one of the projects among a lot of them that I have worked on.
That's a very detailed example. It's
All right. Coming back to our judges, Peter, how would you score this? And to recap, the question was, what is your experience in conducting risk assessments, and what was your role? So, Peter, kindly go ahead.
Yeah, I like the AI response. It was very detailed. It's just way too long. She's rambling. To me, it sounds like she knows her stuff, but she's rambling. She needs to get her story concise and just straightforward. So I'm gonna give her a 3 because she knows it. She just all over the place.
Okay. Thank you, Peter. Angela, please go ahead.
All right. So I will also do a 3. I think she's picking up as the interview is going along. She attempted to use the STAR method in this answer. I saw that because she started by saying there was this situation where blah, blah, and she kind of explained the situation, and then she explained the approach they used. But that's where, again, you could see that she wasn't flowing well. Like you said, we went on a date, and then I slept, and I woke up, and it was, she was jumping in between. But then I think at some point she's steady. You can tell she is very familiar with the CIS the methodology or framework, So that, which is good. I don't know if it's a requirement, one of the tools that they are requiring in the job description. So if it is, then that's smart that she kept talking about it and showing familiarity with it. If that's not the case, then I would mention other risk assessment to, NIST has their own. I'll mention 1 or 2 and then maybe zoom in on this one, and say, okay, I'm going to explain using CIS so that you kind of put yourself out there that you have more experience in other methodology and frameworks too. She gave a lot of specifics, which I really like to show familiarity, but it's good and also not good because she was too detailed, as the AI said, And then did I hear mediation? I think she was talking about remediation. I heard that. That maybe was just a slip of tongue, but those would be the few things that I noticed. And so I would designate 3. Thanks.
Okay, 3. Sheila, please go ahead.
I'll give her 2. I'll give her 2 because her I wasn't her language, the way she started with she started previously she used situation and then she said it again situation, and I feel like you could choose a better word in the field or better terminology to use to make you more professional. So I didn't like that. Also very lengthy, too lengthy at some point. There's a lot of good information, and then it sounded as if at some point she's reading off something. So because it sounds like she reads a little bit, but she's very familiar, so she's able to control it. But then at some point too, you can feel it that she's reading from something, and that also wasn't very good. And then also I was also hoping that she will pick specific system or specific project that she worked on and be able to use the STAR system to be able to answer the question. If you are talking about risk management, and okay, if you're doing it for an organization or your organization at the point where you were doing specifically vendor risks, how did you start it? Where did you start, and how were you able to go through the process, and why you started it, and so forth. So that's what I was looking for, but I felt like she was all over the place. She knew what she was talking about, but it was too general in terms of the whole organization. And that's my thought.
Okay, so Sheila's score will be your final score.
It will be two. It will be
2.
two.
Okay. Okay. Shango, please go ahead.
Right. Well, I think everybody knows that it was too lengthy. It was very lengthy. You know that the young lady knows what she's talking about. That's obvious. I just think it's too lengthy. A lot of a lot of That is not do. That's not something that you do in interviews. And the good news is this is where we get beat up at. This is where we bleed. We come to witness to bleed and learn and things of that nature. So I think it should be if she would have done it in steps. You know, the step is described, or how would you do a risk assessment and a risk register. And you start with the risk assessment. You start with what's not in controls you didn't have in compliance. You start with identifying the gaps and most criticality risks that you start off with from the highest to low. And then it moves on over to the risk register and the impact and the likelihood of the risk and identifying the risk and having the risk identified and having a live document. Those are the things I would have said. I would start with it. And it didn't have to be that long. It really didn't. So I'm going to give her a 2.
Thank you, judges. Now, yes, overall score from me, I'll give her a 2 also, and simply because the answer was too lengthy. If you are timing it, it's around almost like 5 minutes, 5 minutes, 30 seconds about, right? And everything that she was saying, yes, she knew what she was talking about, but we just have to make sure we are structuring it right. So, and it's not just her. For everyone who's been to an interview, if you don't rehearse or you don't practice your answers, you tend to run on and on and on and on, right? So we just have to make sure, and this is a very good learning experience for everyone. You make sure you rehearse and you practice your answers, right? Now you might say, but how do I know the questions to practice to, right? You don't know how, you don't have to know the questions. You have to go in there with your story already prepped, right? So if you go through the job description, like when we do job placement, we do one-on-one interview prep with, our students. We give you some possible questions, but what we do is you have to have a lot of situations, tax action results, scenarios prepped, ready to go. Sometimes you can use one for 2 or 3 scenarios, right? But you can always, if you have it well prepped, prior to the interview, you can always do a spin-off on 1 or 2 because there are a lot of things that you've done that is relevant, right? But if you don't have any structure, then you tend to run on and on and on because you don't know when to end because you think you've not said enough. So you have to keep saying to make something stick, right? So, all right. And also credit to our sister undergoing this interview. This is her very first cybersecurity interview, and she is switching from a non-technical. She has no IT background, so her very first interview. So at least she did well, right? But we are doing this critique for all of us to learn, and for folks who've not gone to any of these interviews to see how it goes and how it plays out. Right. All right. So we move on into our next question.
Fantastic to hear how you utilize the CISRAM methodology and tools like the maturity matrix to methodically assess risks and develop actionable mitigation plans. It's impressive how you went beyond identifying risks to ensure a strong focus on ownership, budget, and timelines for implementation. Thank you for walking me through that process. Let's shift gears now. What steps would you take to ensure SO2 readiness for an organization?
Okay. So for SOC 2 readiness for an organization, I have worked on helping an organization I work for as well get ready for SOC 2, which is a service organization controls assessment, just to make sure that the controls that are inherent, that are within your system, are not only implemented, but they are working effectively. So how do you get them ready? First of all, we want to make sure that our controls. We want to assess the controls within our system, within our information system. And also this organization was a company that was getting ready for SOC 2, a SOC 2 audit, because they were getting ready to provide third-party HR services to another company. So apart from identifying our controls based on this information system, we also help the company identify the user controls for the company that they were going to work with. So they listed like, these are the controls that we need in place with our clients, so that our controls can be effective. So that was that, and then we getting ready for an independent audit to make sure that everything was done. So what do? We took the controls, HR controls, what are the hiring controls, what how do you determine that staff that are hired are they onboarded? Do they need to sign a non-disclosure agreement? What are the what are the conditions of their service? What are the what training would they need to do? So all these controls were identified. Do you have an HR policy? We reviewed the HR policy to make sure that it was relevant as well. And then for each control, we looked at the control objective. What is the objective of this control? And what is the activity to show that the control is in place? So we took like the training control, for example. The objective is to make sure that the staff that you have, the quality of the staff, they are training in the technical knowledge and everything that they needed to know about the acceptable use policies within the organization as set over there. Then how do you assess it? We look at the control activity as well. So this is actually a control self-assessment within the organization to get ready for the SOC 2 audit. So what is the control activity? So we take logs, training reports, documentation, sampling, when this staff was employed, did they sign a non-disclosure agreement? Did they go through orientation? Do they have the requisite qualifications? Everything is done. You look at the training records. Have they been trained? Everything. And so all this to make sure that the system was ready, so that when we applied it, when we had the contract with the service organization, the system was ready. So this is what we did, getting ready for the control environment, getting ready, for the SOC 2 audit. And then after that, we looked at the company's assertions. What are we saying? What is the description of our system? We have our security, trust service principles of security, then with progress, integrity, confidentiality, and availability. So in this case, we chose the basic trust service principle, which is security, and we also chose availability and confidentiality. So those were the three control areas that we were getting ready for the audit, because this is an HR system, and you want to make sure that you are protecting the confidentiality of the PII, for example, that is inherent in that system. Because if you're managing the HR for a company, you're going to be exposed to their social security numbers, other personal records that need to be guaranteed, and also you make sure that the system is available to support the business. So this was a really detailed project to make sure that all the controls, and what I liked about this project was that it made sure that the process owners had ownership, evaluating their controls and make sure that everything was in place for the SOC 2 audit.
All right, back to our judges. Peter, how are you going to rate this?
Don't put me in the spot. Number one, I don't know if she's working for that company or she's a consultant for that company. So her other question was to say, I don't know if she's working in that company or she's a consultant. Number two is, of course, too long. Okay, let's go with number three. I could tell she's reading because she's reading the question and then answering them over and over and over. What are the objectives? Well, the objectives are, I mean, you could tell she's reading. Right now, it's kind of clear. I'm going to have to give her a 2 on that.
Okay. Thank you. Angela, please go ahead.
Okay. Well, so I really got lost. And so I'll put it this way. The same issue we've been, discussing from question 1, I guess the flow and structure, I think that needs to be worked on by our sisters. So that still persists. But on top of that, compared to the previous question, I think she had the content, she had more knowledge on that compared to this one. So on top of it being lengthy, all the issues with the other one, this one, I did not feel like she had a mastery of the content, So based on that, I gave 3 on the previous one. I'm slashing that in half, 1.5 for this, because this one I was totally lost on it. Thank you.
Okay. Sheila, please go ahead.
Sorry, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay. I will give her 3, and this is my reason. You didn't tell us from the beginning. You should have told us. You said this is her first time, and I really applaud her because the knowledge that she's bringing out it makes it sound like she really has a lot of understanding of the field that she's getting herself into. So that is the only reason why I'm giving her 3, because I applaud her for doing so much work and really articulating herself like that. Other than that, information, just like the team has said, she didn't seem to have a lot of control over the information she was given out. And so she was a little bit all over the place in terms of if she's referring herself to being a part of the team that she's speaking for, or she is speaking for another organization. So it wasn't very clear, the detail of this, or the point that she was trying to make didn't come across very well explained in this contest.
Okay, so 3 from Sheila. Shongo, please go ahead.
Okay. As usual, I think this young lady is more, she concentrates on more than elaborating on the answer than answering the question clearly. She should not elaborate, just answer the question direct. And you can tell she's a little boggled a little bit by that question because it is SOC 2. She mentioned controls, but she didn't name any controls, because when you're in cybersecurity, one of the biggest common criteria is the security control. She could have mentioned like CC 1-in-1 control pertains to security. So I'm going to give her a 2. I mean, she is doing her best, like Sheila says, but she's still all over the place. I don't want the young lady or anyone else to talk themselves out of a job.
All
Next.
right. Thank you, Shongo. So, yes, and to what everybody said, I'll also give her a 2. Now, simply because you could see and the question was, what steps or, your experience in ensuring that SOC 2, your experience, or what are the steps you are going to take to ensure SOC 2 compliance or readiness in your company, right? You could see when she was asked about the risk assessment, her delivery and her mastery it was obvious she knew what she was talking about. on the risk assessment side more. But on the SOC 2, I think it kind of threw her off a little bit, right? So that is why now when that happens, you tend to bring in stuff that you know, and you keep elaborating on them over and over and over again. But that is, at least you have to say something or have a way to answer it. But she was coming back at the end of her answers where she brought in the trust services, the trust service principles. But that was what she was supposed to start with and elaborate more on and the strategy the company was going to use to follow. So if the company is doing security, confidentiality, integrity, then maybe this is the strategy that we are using, or right. So, and for folks who are more familiar with SOC 2, you probably will understand what I'm talking about, right? So I'll give her a 2. And I think for the previous point that was made, making your answers concise, I think we've seen that is kind of something that she needs to work on more, right? So now moving forward, yes, some of the answers will be a bit lengthy, but that is a point that has been made already. So let's concentrate more on the delivery and maybe how well she can structure it as well. All right, let's move on to the next one.
That's an excellent explanation, and it really highlights your thoroughness in preparing an organization for SOC 2 compliance. I appreciate how you emphasize not only implementing controls, but also documenting processes, verifying readiness with tangible evidence, and ensuring ownership by process owners. It's clear you have hands-on experience with the critical aspects of SOC 2 audits, especially with tying controls to the business context. Let's continue. Can you share an example of how you have managed compliance audits and assessments in the past?
Managing compliance audits and assessments in the past has been critical,
Absolutely. Managing compliance audits is indeed critical.
Yes.
Could you share a specific example of how you've handled such audits or assessments in your previous roles?
Okay, so in my previous role, when we had to do an audit, an assessment with compliance, I used the governance framework ISO 27001 in this case, which the company had used to relied on as a standard to ensure best practices within the system, to make sure that the information security management systems are working perfectly, at high, as good as it can be, and also to ensure that the best practices were within the system. This was to help, not necessarily to previously it was just to make sure that the practices within the system, the business were okay, were working properly. So getting ready for the audits and assessments, we used the ISO 27001 framework, which outlines the clauses and the controls that need to be in place. And another thing that we did in preparation for that was to make sure that our systems were also working effectively with the controls and everything. So it always starts with a risk assessment. We looked at the risk assessment within the organization, did a risk assessment to identify the critical systems within the organization, and then we had a team and I was part of that team that was getting ready for ISO audit and ISO certification. So when you take the ISO 27001, 27002 provides the guidelines to implement ISO 27001. So we use the ISO 27002 documents, went through with the guidelines to implement the clauses. And with the clauses in the ISO 27001, all the clauses were applicable. Everything within the clause has to be maintained. So we look at the context of the organization, look at management involving the rules, the organization structure. We make sure that everything, so all these were things that we reviewed. We reviewed the policies of the organization. We made sure that everything was done, was in place We looked at the implementations and continuous monitoring within the system. So we made sure that we went according to the guidelines in ISO 27002 to make sure we documented everything. Then we went ahead and looked at the control once again. Now, some of the controls in ISO 27001 were not applicable. So we developed a statement of applicability where we listed all the controls that were critical and all the controls that we needed to have in place to get the ISO certification. So that is also something that we did. Make sure it was still a control self-assessment. Make sure that all the controls were reviewed, the objectives were met, following the guidelines with ISO 27002. And where, for example, a control wasn't applicable, we stated it to make sure that, well, this control is not applicable to us. I remember there was an example where we're talking about physical controls for the data center, but we were relying on another company to manage our data. So it wasn't on premises. So because of that, those particular controls that were related to the physical protection, physical controls of the data center were not listed, and we gave comments were evaluated, and
That's a thorough.
All right. Coming back to our judges. So I have to break some of that last portion off because I think we have the substance of how the question was answered already. So Peter, what will be your score? Now the question was, before Peter comes in, what is your experience managing compliance audit in the past?
I'll say a 3. I just thought she just mentioned 2002 too many times. Guidelines, we gotta follow the guidelines. We gotta follow the guidelines. We gotta follow the guidelines. That's the only part that kind of bothered me. I mean, if you're gonna do the controls, and put them in place, and use the guidelines. You just say that once, not keep repeating it over and over and over again.
Okay, Peter. Thank you. Angela, please go ahead.
Yeah, so I'll also score I'll say a 3. But as Sheila said, I'm talking right now as a judge who is on the panel who interviewed her, because they have no idea that it's a first interview and all that. So that's why I'm giving this score. But if it's in-house, hearing all that it's a first, I think the scores are bumpy. She's done really well. A great job. Her very first interview, it's not easy, the nerves and all that. So my scores are just like, I don't know her, and she's coming in, she's claiming she has some experience. So that's where I'm giving my scores. That would be a 3. I feel like she needs to, in the future, prepare like a project around the job requirements, to talk about. To me, it seems more like she's sharing book knowledge on this, letting us know that she knows about ISO 27001, like telling us she's hitting some stuff here and there. But as we've said, structure and all that, and she's not making it her story. She's not getting that buy-in, how, she had a project that she had to work on, what was the situation, how they prepared, how the team came along, and how she followed up for this and did that and put this in. She doesn't have a story or a project to share to that effect. And that makes it sound like she's aloof from the situation. She's just sharing a knowledge or how this works. She's sharing with the team, not how she has done it before. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Angela. I think Sheila went already, or no, Sheila, go ahead, please.
Yes, I'll give her a 2.53. Just because again, she was all over the place. Then she started, sometimes she has the answers, but she brings it out later. I hear it when she started talking about, when she started giving an example. And if she has started that, and then build the structure around it with then she mentioned she brought in risk assessment. So if you structure it and then go around it with implementing or including the ISO framework, then it will make sense. But because she was all over the place, it wasn't structure. So I think her main problem that we've identified is structure. If she structure things very well, you will not have to speak too much, because the way you started and the way you ended, you are ending sometimes at some point where you were supposed to start with the answers, it comes in later. So you have a very good understanding and good knowledge that you are bringing out, and she's doing very well. Be it the first time, I think she has done a great job. She has a lot of the information in the answers that she gives. If she structure it a little bit and weed out a lot of them, she will not have to stress. She'll be able to go through it seamlessly. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Shango, please go ahead.
Yes, sir. The question was, can you share how you handled compliance audits and assessments in the past? And she doesn't sound nervous, at least not to me. She doesn't. I think she needs to learn how to pause, just pause and slow down a little bit while she's taking her interview. Now, she did, it's good to start at the top and work your way down. So if you start this is how we started the audit. This is what happened in the middle of the audit, and this is how we finished the audit. I think that is the structure that always works. Now, she did mention the risk assessment, implementation, continuous monitoring, and physical controls for the company, the data center, things of that nature. That's all good, but it has to have a start, a middle, and an end. And the young lady wasn't quite there. She was still all over the place. So I give her 2.5 as well.
Okay, thank you. So overall, I will score her a 2. Now, this is the reason. What was the question? The question is, how do you manage, or how have you managed compliance audit in the past? What this question is looking for is not how you actually conducted an audit. It is looking for your project management skills. So they could have phrased it in a different way. How have you managed, let's say, risk management in the past, risk management projects in the past? How have you managed third-party risk management in the past, or how have you managed governance review in the past? Right, looking at it more from the perspective of project management than the actual doing of the job. So, what was your strategy? How did you? What was the timelines? What were the key items that you were looking at? Right, who was responsible for what? That is more what the question is looking for, right? So I'll give her a 2. Now, we'll be looking at our last 2-3 questions, but before we do, our Labor Day promotion is still going on. It ends on the 14th, which I think is on Sunday, if I'm not mistaken, or Monday. I'm not sure. Today is the 12th, so 2 days from today. Now, for folks, if you are new to the family and you are trying to switch a career into the cybersecurity space, our cybersecurity entry-level course, we encourage you to look into it. This is the course that is going to get you from where you are to where you can start working in the security space with hands-on and a good knowledge background, and then also having a very strong hands-on where you've worked on different projects in our internship and workshop program. So the entry level covers the training, the working with labs, we're using different tools, and then doing internship where you work with different 2 of our sister companies and you work on different cybersecurity projects like conducting an audit, incident response, awareness training, risk assessment, and others, right? And for folks if you have RMF training, you have some GRC training somewhere, but you've never done anything hands-on, anything practical, you can't do any project, you can only talk about it theoretically, we encourage you to look into our GRC internship and workshop. You're really going to, here you are going to learn by doing, right? So you are doing as you are learning, right? So it's not theoretical, you are going to be doing it for 2 of our sister companies, and you work on real world projects for 2.5 months, right, to 3 months. Now, for folks already in the security space, we encourage you to look into our cloud security. Every cybersecurity professional should know how to protect assets in the cloud. And this program is vendor neutral. So we work with AWS, Azure, Google Cloud, and there's a lot of hands-on, right? And when it comes to the knowledge piece, once you're done with this, you are ready to sit for any of the cloud certifications out there. And for AI governance, if you are looking to jump ahead of AI, GRC, in the near 2-3 years, AI governance is going to be part of every cybersecurity job role. So that is going to be part of what you are doing, right? So you have to get ahead of it today before you start chasing it when it has long passed, right? So our AI governance program also very hands-on. You go through how to manage risks when it comes to AI, the implementation of AI within our organizations. And our PCI DSS for folks looking to specialize in the cybersecurity space. If you are totally new to cybersecurity, we encourage you to go with entry level, not PCI, and later on you can come with PCI. But if you have some IT background, you're already in the cybersecurity space, then you can look into specializing in the most lucrative niche in the cybersecurity space, right? And with that, we are going to move into our next question, right? So kindly hold one whilst we move into our next question.
Example, and it really highlights your deep understanding of using frameworks like ISO 27001 and tailoring them to business needs. I like how you implemented a statement of applicability for excluded controls and worked collaboratively with business owners to address specific requirements. Your meticulous approach to documentation and readiness is very clear here. All right, shifting gears now. How do you approach policy management to ensure effective communication and adherence across an organization?
Okay. Policy management is top-down. It's effective when it's top-down because we, as much as everybody works diligently with what they're doing, you want to know that this is management's buy-in. And so that's why when we develop the policies as well, we have clearly defined lines as to what is compliance and what is non-compliance and the repercussions for non-compliance. That kind of keeps everybody on their toes and accountable. So now to ensure effective communication of these policies, because people forget, people may not just pay attention in some instances. So there are two things. First of all, there's security awareness and training, which always focuses on critical issues or things that people should know and be reminded of. So apart from the fact that we do all the phishing simulations and all that within the environment, which is also important, we also do policy awareness. Apart from putting it on the intranet and apart from making staff, when you employ staff, like there's some critical policies that you make sure that they sign to indicate that, yes, I've read the acceptable use policy and this is what I should do with a device, or this is what I shouldn't do with a device or within the system or with access control. Apart from that, we have regular training and awareness programs to remind the staff about that, communicating that. Now, another thing that we do is, because the policies are high-level policies, after drafting the policies, we break them down to standard operating procedures, which are step-by-step processes that outline what needs to be done. Like, take password policy, management policy, for example. There's a high-level management statement about what we need to do. We need to have passwords done. We need to keep on changing our passwords regularly. But then we have a step-by-step procedure which shows you, which clearly defines what the details, and this is a more step-by-step approach that communicates the fact that, yes, we expect you to have a 14-character password, and it should have uppercase letters, lowercase letters. It should have the other symbols, and it should have numbers and all that. And apart from that, it should be changed regularly, and we should not have non-expiry passwords within the system because they pose a risk. And this is the repercussions for not changing your passwords, or to put implementing non-expiry passwords on some systems. So the standard operating procedures communicates a step-by-step approach which kind of enforces compliance, and it makes it easier. It's not just a high-level statement in a document, but it shows you the step, if just in case you don't understand or you don't know how you're going to go about it. It gives you a step-by-step procedure on how to implement those policies. And then we have guidelines and best practices, which just shows you that, well, this is what you do, this is the standard, but for example, we say you should have 14 characters, but then a guideline would be, apart from that, we want you to change your password every 6 months, but you could change it every 4 months, just to be sure that you're doing, you're on top of that. So these are the things that you do to communicate the compliance with this policy, to manage the policy and create effective communication and adherence across the organization.
All right, back to our judges. Peter, please go ahead. The question was, how do you approach policy management within your organization? I think that was the piece that I heard. I think there's something to ensure that policies are adhered to, something like that. So Peter, please go ahead.
I don't think she answered the question. She did a lot of explaining, but I don't think she answered that question. She got me lost going back and forth. So, no, I will have to say a 2 just because I don't think she answered the question.
Okay. Thank you, Peter. Angela, please go ahead.
I'll go 2.5 on this one. I think she has a few points in there, but the same issue with, the information not flowing, but I heard stuff like management buy-in, because if we want to ensure they adhere, to it, then it's good for the team to know that management is in support, and management also have to be part of that. And then ensure effective communication. She mentioned something like that. She tried to link it with SOPs, guidelines, and stuff like that. I guess what she's saying is you break it down. The SOPs, and the procedures kind of breaks it down even further. So it all helps with the team adhering to the policies. And maybe I would add something like engage stakeholders in the policy procedure, let them have a part in it as you're writing it, get them to also be a part of it, and that would help ensure adherence. So overall, yeah, I'll do a 2.5, maybe 3 for that.
Okay. Sheila, please go ahead.
I'll give her 3. I'll give her 3. She didn't answer the question. She gave a lot of definitions that I felt like. And throughout some of the questions that she has answered, she has the tendency of kind of explaining the concept, and that's not what you need to do, but actually give an example to explain what you are trying to say, or to show that you have experience, you have done that. And that is what I was expecting in this situation too. At what point did you actually enforce that, or were you able to be able to answer the question better if you have a situation or an example where you implemented that you used and was able to implement this? That would be much better to answer the question than explaining some of the concepts and the policies and yeah, I think some of the critiques have already been said already, so I wouldn't go over it again. But I think in this case, if you have a good example of a project that you used, and will structure it in that way, it will make the answer much better.
Okay, thank you. Shango, please go ahead.
Yes, sir. So the question was, how do you approach policy management in an organization? So when hear that question, I'm thinking about centralizing my documentation. And if there was any changes in the organization or in the infrastructure that changed my policy, how do we manage that, and where can everybody in the company go and get that information? And how are you working with the other stakeholders? So that is what I get out of that question. And I don't think the young lady answered it, but she did a lot of explanation in other directions. So that's my take. I'll give her a 2.
Okay. Thank you, Shango. So my take will be also a 2. And simply because, like everybody else said, the answer was not really straightforward. Uh, Still, I think the question was focusing more on project management / strategy, right? How do you approach in policy management, right? So if you go into details explaining one specific policy and how it is being used and implemented, really that is not what they are looking for, right? Overall, all the policies within the organization, how do you manage those policies? Implementation is part of it, but awareness of the policies should be known to all affected parties. It should be documented. It should be updated, on regular basis. So all those items, they fall under policy management, right? So who is doing review? Who is responsible for what? Different policy owners. How do you manage all of them to make sure you are staying in compliance with any compliance obligations that you might have, right? So that is how to approach questions like this. Now we are about to look at our last question. I think we'll take our last question and we will be about wrapping it up. And I hope everybody else is getting something for your toolbox, right? Now, for all of us listening, it's easier for you to say, yeah, I mean, she could have gone this way or gone that way. But this is the time for you to learn, because if you are in the hot seat, sometimes, your preparation, if you don't take care, will go out of the window. So that is why it is best for you to practice, rehearse your answers, practice, right? Because if you don't practice delivering your answers, simple question like, tell me about yourself, you are going to spend 5 minutes just ranting, going on and on and on and on because you didn't prepare and there's no structure, right? So that is you telling about yourself. But even with that, you can mess that up. So preparation is key here. Now we are going to look at our last question.
That's a fantastic explanation. I really like how you emphasize the role of top-down management support and policy adherence, combined with proactive steps like breaking down policies into actionable procedures and reinforcing them with training and awareness programs. Your focus on making policies understandable and accessible, as well as tying them to real-world practices, shows a practical and strategic approach. Now, do you have any questions for me about the role or the company?
Yeah, so what I'm excited about actually is the fact that the company is, what I read was that you have a goal to strengthen your organizational governance and compliance. And so I just wanted to have a little bit more information about the company. Where are you at right now with that?
That's a great question. Kind Lending is a mortgage company focused on providing exceptional service and a diverse range of products to enhance the home buying experience.
You and yeah, so another question that I wanted to ask I'm really excited about this position because it's right up my alley. It ties in with my expertise and my passion.
All right, so going back to our judges. Now, I think the reason why we're bringing this in also is after your interview, if they say, do you have any questions for us? Do you really have to ask any question? Or if yes, what are some of the things to ask? And I think she asked one question, What is your take on that? You're looking at it also from the approach, and maybe your last words on what you can do at the end of the interview. So Peter, please go ahead.
She sounded really excited. She came alive at the end. But yeah, she sounded good. I mean, at the ending, she did well.
Okay.
So I give her a 4 there.
Okay. Okay. Sheila, please go ahead.
Yeah, I think she did good there. I agree with Peter. She did well overall. And yes, I agree. You should ask a question at the end of the interview. You definitely should ask something. Should have something to ask. So I will give her a 4.
All right. Thank you. Angela, please go ahead.
Yes, I think you should always come prepared with 2 or 3 questions. So, and like Peter said, she did come alive. I guess she was relieved that the interview was over. But at this stage too, I would like to reiterate how my experience aligns with the role. And I'll chip a thing or two in there to let them know that I've researched the company. I'm very familiar with what they're doing. If you know anything they're doing in the public setting or whatever, that is good. Kudos, try and mention and say how they're doing good out there and why you would want to be a part of the, team to do something positive to that effect. And also what you can bring to the table to get the company to kind of keep going in the positive area. I think, yeah, that's what I'll say to that. Thank you.
Okay. So what will be your final score for this
For
session?
a 3.
A 3. Okay. Shongo, please go ahead.
Yes. Well, you should always come with questions because, like Peter said, she came alive. And when they ask you, "Do you have any questions?" Now is the time for you to shine. It's time for you to be the star. And you ask questions based on what the team that you're getting hired on is looking for. That's what that question is. You have any questions for us, for the team? We're going to hire you, and you got any questions for us? And that is where you get to shine. And if you've done your due diligence, looked up the company, and did your homework, you can really hit them with some questions and make them think, you know what, I found the person that I'm looking for. So I'll give it was only one question, so I give the young lady a 3.
Okay. Great. Now, yes, you should go in. If you don't have any questions, then it means you didn't research the company, you didn't prepare. And also for the role that you are going to, or the team that you're going to work with, you don't sound like you're coming in prepared, right? So if you come in prepared, you know that you've done your research about the team, what they are doing, just like the question that, our sister asked, where are you at in terms of this project or that project or that project? That opens, different avenues for you, and they are going to give you more insight into the organization, right? So you should always go in with a question ready, right? And now, overall, we will give a chance for at least 2 or 3 people on here to give their take. But one question that I wanted to ask, because I think Peter mentioned this, that at some point it was obvious she had some notes and she was reading. Is that a bad thing, or what is your take on it? Can you go into an interview with notes ready, prepped, and you can refer to your notes, or what is your take on this? We can go with the judges, and then we will open the floor for everybody else also.
Well, I heard people have done it, and I guess it's okay. But me personally, I would not do that.
Okay. What about you, Angela?
I think if they are not barring you from doing that, you can if it will work, if it's your style. For me, I know that will make me more nervous because they don't know your script. So the question they ask, you might not have your answer in that format. So you gotta be smart about that. And maybe you can just have bullet points, maybe, so you know that if they're talking about risk management, you don't want to miss certain things. So you kind of have key points kind of put there, but you'll be able to chip in. But I guess it depends on the person, your style. Me, I feel like that will make me more confused. If anything, I would rather go with the points and then kind of add more meat or flesh to it as the question comes.
Okay, Sheila, please go ahead. Oh, you're muted, Sheila.
I think, sorry, I think I'm old school. I wouldn't go in with the note. I I haven't been in the market for a while, so I probably don't know, but it will make me very nervous. Part of it, like I kind of felt like she's reading. I think it will make the interviewer think that I'm not as knowledgeable as I'm reading from something. So basically, if I have done the job and I know what I'm talking about, it should flow smoothly out of my head rather than me reading it from something. Maybe some points from, but I personally will not do it because it will throw me off, and I feel like it will also make them feel like I'm not competent or I'm not sure of what I'm talking about. So I'll go the old school way, get it out of my own head.
Okay, what about you, Shongo?
I'm sorry, Dr. Du, can you ask the question again? I missed it.
Oh, is it, will you go into an interview with notes already prepped and referring to your notes during the interview, or you're just going to go in there without any notes?
Oh, I would do my preparation to the point where I wouldn't need notes. I don't think notes would be good. I will come ready. Maybe I don't know. Maybe if it was I don't know, maybe a government job or something like that. But no, I think note taking might take away from the texture of the interview a little bit. So me personally, I wouldn't do notes. No.
Okay. Anybody else in the audience? Will you go with notes or not, and why? Any takers on this one?
This is Renee here.
Yeah, Renee, please go ahead.
Yeah, I don't think it's a good idea to go with a note. Like everybody else said, just prepare. Prepare yourself. If you already done something, you don't need note for that to flow out of your head. So it's just about preparation. Do your research and be ready, because you don't even know the question that will be asked. How you get the note. So it would not, for me, it would not flow. Your answer will not flow according to the question, because you'll be tied to your notes, and it will break down your written.
Yes, thank you. So my take on this, you are going into the interview as a subject matter expert, right? And as a subject matter expert, yes, you are not going to know everything in cybersecurity, but at least for what they are looking for in the interview, you should be at least 90%, 95% there without notes, right? Have for everybody here, if you've taken an open book exam compared to an exam that is not open book, you tend to do better on the non-open book exam, simply because you know you don't have any reference, or you go in well prepared. Now with open book, you are very likely to fail. Not because the answers are not there, but because you're going to run out of time. And you are going, because if you have, like, let's say 4 different books and it's not PDF, it's books, your actual books, and you have to reference, go through the books. If you don't study, even open books becomes, almost impossible to do. Open book exams becomes almost impossible to pass. But if you've studied, right, and you've studied enough, you've prepared well enough, you can just look at the answers and start answering them. The ones, at least some 4 or 5 ones that you have to refer, even that when you take the book, you know exactly where you are going to do the reference, right? So you are a subject matter expert going into the interview. So you don't want to be referring to every single thing they ask you are going to refer. And like Renee and everybody else said, it's going to throw you off because you don't know the order in which they're gonna ask the questions. So you don't want to be, okay, please hold on, and you're opening your pages like I'm doing here. It doesn't make you an expert. That also shows that you don't know what you are talking about. And two, during interviews, they want to know what you've done. Do you really need to reference a book about what you've done? Of course not. Right. They are not, this is not a history question. Right. So even if it's a history question and you are posing to be a history subject matter expert, and you have to refer to every single date, then your expertise is kind of in question. Right. So if you've actually worked on these projects that they are talking about, why do you have to go refer to a book? Now, yes, granted, you might have worked on different projects, but that is what we talked about, structuring your answers before you go into the interview. On the job description, they talked about risk management, they talked about SOC 2, so they will ask you questions on that. So you ask yourself, what is my experience conducting risk assessment? You go through your steps, right? So these are the 5 key steps or key points that I'm going to discuss during the interview, right? So as soon as they ask you, you just start listing them. And 2, because you've done them, it's easy for you to just, go through, but you came in prepared, right? So that is my take on that. Now, George, please go ahead, and we'll be about wrapping up.
Yeah. Good evening, Doc, and good evening, everyone. For me personally, before I go to an interview, I will jot down bullet points, maybe numbers that I can't afford to forget, like maybe compliance percentages or a list of 2 or 3 star stories that I've rehearsed. And I'll only refer to the notes that I can't, like, it's the last resort for me to nudge on. That's what I would say. So yes, I will take a note, but I will be very cautious about it. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, George. And I think I just saw in the chat, Jason was interviewing for a job. He said he got a job already. So, Jason, if you can introduce yourself and we give you a big congratulations. And Jason, I think it's good morning for Jason. Jason is in Japan. Jason, are you still on here? I'm still trying to see if, Jason, I think Jason went away. He's not in the meeting, but he put in the chat, he got a job already. And I know the job he's talking about because we were working on it, doing some job placement for him, and then also some recommendations as well. So congratulations to Jason. We probably will catch him next week and have him talk about what he did, prepping for his interview and all that, right? And before we wrap up, so the link to make an appointment and to all details about Cyber Chat and everything we do in the Eretmis family has been posted. If you are new to this platform, we encourage you to take a look at what has been posted, and you can use that to enroll in any of our free courses. And then also join. We have an actual page for Cyber Chat on our website. You can join that. That way you don't miss any Cyber Chat events. But every Friday night, 7 p.m. Eastern, you're going to catch us. Before we wrap up, there are some shout outs in here and some team lives in here as well. We have Steven joining us from Ohio, New Jersey, Abraham joining us from New Jersey, Matthew from Houston, Texas, Jason from Japan. He says, I got a job. And some team lives in there. We have Andrew joining us from Pittsfield. And in there, some team lives in there as well. Sabrina saying hello, happy Friday to everyone. And Vic was asking ISC, Asaka, they don't accept screenshots for CPE. So how do you go about that? We can talk offline about this one, Victor. Vic, not sure if it's Victor, right? And some team lives in there as well. And on our YouTube channel as well, we have some shout outs, also some team lives in there. Idrus, Ashley, Samuel, Leonard on there as well. Moluku on there as well, David. And I think John was saying stop using Chat GPT. Oh, and for everybody, this interview was with AI. So the lady speaking was not a real person, it was an AI from the company. Right. So, and I think somebody even put that in the chat already. Yes. So this is from this is an AI interview. So that is why you can see AI was very generous, right? And elaborate more and just pick up on the things you're saying and, use that to give you some response at the end of it. But at the end of this interview, somebody's going to listen to it and grade you like we did. That is how they're going to move you forward to the next round, right? So kudos to our sister who did this interview and giving us, this recording for us to go through and discuss it as a group. And also some shout outs, George from Ghana, and still going through. There are some comments in there. Ike said she's going to get better as she is moving along. Same with Gabriel, and some shout outs as well on here. Coyote you joined us from UK. It's almost midnight in the UK, I think past midnight. What AI was used for the interview. I think this was an in-house one. I'm not really sure what type of AI was used for that. Fred joined us from San Antonio. Idris joined us from Canada. We have Adoma Odro. Kwame joined us from
How
Boston.
come the one on the other side is not old?
And Chuck joined us from Boston as well. And some congratulations to Jason. And I think that is about it. Reverend Franklin also joining us. Okay, the location is not obvious on here. All right, so appreciate everybody's time. We'll meet again. Yeah, so this is her first interview. A big applause to her. Salifu is saying big applause to her for the interview. But great job. And we can't thank our judges enough. You guys were put on the spot. Peter, Sheila, Angela, Shongo. We appreciate everybody. Thank you for your time. And then also for everybody who attended this session, we hope you got something for your toolbox. Now, there is a good learning experience. And that is what we do here at Eretmis. We share the love, spread the word, and make sure, you are getting what you need to get to help you move up the ladder as a cybersecurity professional and to be able to break into the cybersecurity space. And for things like this that we do, you're not going to get it anywhere, right? There are people paying $20,000, $30,000 for some courses, and it's not even going to come close what we do on Friday nights for free. So don't take this for granted. Make good use of it. And you can always go back to our YouTube channels and, revisit past videos. So we appreciate everybody's time. Have a great and wonderful weekend. Stay safe. And we will meet same time next week for another edition of Cyber Chat. Thank you, judges. And thank you, everybody.
You, Dr.
Thank you, Doctor.
And thank our sister for giving us her interview for us to dissect. Have a great and wonderful evening, everyone.
Thank you, Doc.
Thank you.
Bye. Bye. Bye.